So carrying on, the first thing I think I'm going to deal with is work on the nav a little bit and see if we can get that styled up. So we have our nav styles. I'm just going to turn off my red lines for the moment, right? Command / we'll toggle those. All right, because now that I've got the layout worked out, you know, they're a little distracting, right? And it's a little closer. So first thing I got to do is I got to move it down a little bit. Okay, so we'll target the nav. And we'll just add a little padding to the top. And, I don't know, 28 pixels. Sounds right. Yeah, I didn't prep ahead of time. All right, that looks pretty good. All right, we've got our button and our logo. Okay, great. So the next item, I want to deal with is I'd like all of my elements, right, to be aligned down the center, right? And just so happens if we do our flex box CSS tricks, right? And get in the habit of keeping these resources open as you're working, right? Because again, if you work on this enough, you'll eventually memorize this stuff. But it's just easy to sort of refer to it, right? So, all right, and what I'm looking for is some alignment controls, right? So remember we did justify content to spread the items in the menu out. Oh, there's align self to the end. Yeah, it's probably not what I need. Ooh, what's this? Aha, align items. Wow, baseline, center. Yes, this is what I want, right? Because I got my logo, and then I've got my menu items, and then I've got my buttons. So, okay. So, I'm going to put it on the container where and I'm going to do center. So I'm just going to copy this part. So let's head back. And what am I going to do? Well, it turns out that I don't really have anything I can put it on, right? I don't want to put it on the nav because what I really, is, because I don't want to gunk up my nav control, but I want to have it some alignment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a new class, and I'm going to call this nav align. All right. Now you can add multiple classes, right? Just leave a space between them, right? Don't have a hyphen or anything. It's like, so the row class is being applied, the nav align class will be applied, and then that will allow me to get at these. And I'm probably going to have to put the class on both this one, right? Because I want the image, right, to align with the button, right? Because these are direct children. And so let's just do that first, right? And we'll come back to the second part. You'll see what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to need a new rule. And trying to have that pasted from before, so we can put that in. I save that. Okay, and you'll see that now the Buy Tickets Now button, right, it went from being all stretched out to now it's tightened up and it's centered up, right, with the logo. Now, these items didn't center because they're nested, right, in another div, and that class is not applied to them. It's only applied to the direct children. So let's go see that, right? So here's the nav align. It's being applied to the div that contains the image and the UL and the button. So those two elements are aligned. So simple enough to add the class, and there they come right down. There they are, right? So now everything is centered within the nav. All right. Okay, pretty straightforward. All right. Okay, so now the next thing I want to deal with is this blue and this kind of underlined stuff. So let's start on that. Now, this is where we're going to start to deal with our UL. Now, I don't know if you remember, but let's just go take it back. Right? Remember, see these down here? Right, in our HTML, that those elements are also in an unordered list. And the reason they're stacking like this is because, right, I've just told all the LIs to be in line. And I'm going to want those, that list, not to be in line, right? So I'm going to have to make these selectors more specific. Okay. All right. So let's go work on that. So, right, I'm going to add another class, right? I'm going to put it right on the nav, and I'm going to make this one called nav menu. I'm going to save that. So now, right, the nav this will give me something that I can select, and then I can use a descendant selector to select the LIs inside of it. So let's copy that. All right, and the first thing we're going to do is we're going to target the UL. Oops. All right, got a little space, and now we've got. Okay. So as I'm going to work on this, I'm just going to turn my red lines back on. I sort of want to see how my menu is going to behave. So put those. Okay. So that gives me something I'm working to work with. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of any list style. All right, I'm going to do list style type, but I'm not going to do disk. I'm going to do none. Save that. And right, if we've already done the inline, so we don't really see what this is doing. But what this does is it gets rid of the bullet points on it. Okay. So next thing is I want to push this a little farther to the right. So I'm going to go ahead and margin, and I don't need any space on the top. I don't need any space on the right. Don't need any on the bottom. But I want about 50 pixels on the left. Okay. And then you'll see it, right? There it is. It's sort of pushed that area out, right? The margin on the LI and the individual items, right? There's 28, 28, 28, 28, and another 50 on top of that on the left. Okay. For the whole thing. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay. Next, I don't think I'm using any padding, but I just want to make sure, so I'm just going to manually remove it. All right, yeah, so it was a little padding all popped in there, so it's all cleaned up now. Okay, right, the 50 is out here. We got the pad. Okay, we're all good. Okay. All right, so now I think I've got that placed where I want it. And I want to remember, you know, as I mentioned, I don't want these elements here affected by the rules here. So I'm going to go ahead and fix that up. And I'm just going to do that by adding the nav item here. Right? It doesn't really change anything up there, but suddenly, right, you'll see now, because the selector is more specific, it will only affect the LI items that are nested within a nav. Okay, so that's all taken care of by tickets. All right, pretty good, pretty good.